Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Have you ever thought about, what if the people we love most, the ones we really care about, are also the ones who can hurt us the most? And what happens when, like, our past just keeps coming back to haunt us, shaping our lives in ways that we never could have predicted?
That's deep.
I know, right? It's that kind of heavy stuff we're getting into today. We're going deep into a contemporary fiction book, one that really dives into these messy relationships, you know, and there's this mystery simmering away in the English countryside, too.
Sounds intriguing already.
Right. If you're into stories that, unravel those complicated human connections, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on more deep dives like this one.
Definitely.
Okay, so the book we're looking at today is Broken Country by Clare Leslie Hall. You can find the link to buy it on Amazon in the description below.
Great. I'm excited to get into this one.
Me too. So what makes Broken Country so gripping is that it starts with, this death, right? A farmer's father dies, and you think, okay, maybe this is a who doing it. But it quickly becomes something so much more than that.
Yeah, it's not just about solving a crime, is it?
Not even close. It's about this whole community, this tight-knit group of people who are all carrying these secrets, these hidden truths that have been weighing them down for years. And it's about how their shared history, all the stuff that's happened before, shapes who they are and the choices they make.
It's like the past is never really past, right?
Exactly. It just keeps echoing forward.
Mm.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's 1968, and we're in North Dorset.
Sounds peaceful.
Right. You picture rolling hills, that classic English countryside. But under the surface, there's all this tension, all these secrets just bubbling away. And then, bam, Frank Johnson's father, the farmer, dies.
So that's the catalyst, the thing that sets everything in motion.
Exactly. But like I said, it's more than just the death itself. It's about the ripples it creates, how it forces everyone to confront their past and all these tangled relationships.
Right, like a stone thrown into a pond.
Perfect analogy. So one of the first people we meet is Beth, a farmer's wife. And when she hears that Gabriel Wolfe is back in the village, well, let's just say it stirs things up.
Who's Gabriel? Someone important.
Oh, yeah. He's back after a divorce, moved back into his family home, Meadowlands. But here's the thing. Beth and Gabriel have a history. And it's not just any history. It's the kind that makes you think, ooh, this could get complicated. You know what I mean?
That unspoken past always adds another layer to things, like waiting for a bomb to go off.
Exactly. You just know it's going to come back into play. And the author does such a good job of hinting at it. You can feel that tension, that possibility of old feelings resurfacing.
It's like a slow burn, right?
Yeah, totally. So to contrast with all this drama, we get these really down-to-earth scenes of life on the farm. Frank and his brother Jimmy are working with their sheep, and then suddenly there's this dog attack. It's so vivid, so brutal.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It is. And right in the middle of all this chaos, guess who shows up? Gabriel. And we meet his son, Leo, who owns the dog.
Oh, so there's a connection there.
Right. It just adds another layer of complication to everything. I mean, now Gabriel's son is involved too.
So it's not just Beth and Gabriel anymore. Their lives are already intertwined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it makes their interactions so much more, charged.
I can imagine. And all because of a dog attack.
Life is funny like that, isn't it? So because of the whole dog thing, Beth and Gabriel keep running into each other.
Naturally.
They go for a walk to the lake, which is a place that obviously means a lot to them, full of memories. And then there's a meal at Meadowlands, Gabriel's family home. Even in these everyday moments, you can feel that undercurrent of their past relationship, It's like it never really went away.
The lake seems symbolic, doesn't it? Like a place where their past is literally reflected back at them.
Totally. And eating together at Meadowlands, well, that just adds to the intimacy of it all.
It's like they're stepping back in time, almost.
In a way they are. And it's so interesting to see how different their lives are now. Beth is this farmer's wife, her world so tied to the land. And Gabriel is this successful author living this completely different kind of life. It makes you think about all the choices we make and how they shape us.
Yeah, like the paths not taken.
Exactly. And we get glimpses of Gabriel's difficult relationship with his parents, too. Beth notices how successful he is, how his marriage has fallen apart. It's all part of this bigger picture of who he's become.
Right, so we're getting a more rounded view of him, not just the romantic figure from the past.
Exactly. And then the novel takes us back to the heart of it all. Beth and Gabriel's romance when they were younger. We see these intimate moments, the intensity of their first love. Gabriel declares his feelings for Beth. She feels the same way. It's also passionate, so all-consuming, just like young love should be.
Ah, young love. It's almost like a different language.
It is. And it's so important for understanding why their connection is so powerful. It wasn't just some fling. It was this deep, meaningful relationship that clearly had a huge impact on both of them. And that's why Gabriel's return is such a big deal for Beth.
Makes sense. It's like he's reawakened something in her.
Totally. But we can't forget about Frank, Beth's husband. He has this incredible bond with his brother Jimmy. Frank is the steady one, dependable, while Jimmy is more impulsive, a bit fiery,
Opposites attract, maybe.
perhaps. But Beth actually compares them to George and Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Wow, that's a powerful comparison.
Right. You instantly get a sense of their dynamic. Frank is the protector, the responsible one, and Jimmy is the more vulnerable one, the one who needs looking after.
And how did Jimmy feel about Gabriel coming back?
Oh, he's not happy about it. Not one bit. He sees Gabriel as a threat to Frank's happiness.
Protective brotherly instincts kicking in.
Totally. He doesn't even know about Beth and Gabriel's past, but he just senses it. It's that deep loyalty he has to Frank.
Interesting. So even without knowing the full story, he can sense the danger.
Exactly. And speaking of complications, we also learned about Beth's dreams. She wants to go to Oxford to study. It's this stark contrast to Gabriel's path.
Yeah.
He seemed to glide through it all, but for Beth, it's this longing, this ambition that she's had to put aside. And she actually gets accepted to St. Anne's College, so she's clearly smart, capable.
It makes you wonder what could have been if things had been different.
Absolutely. It's like this reminder that she had other dreams, other aspirations beyond being a farmer's wife.
Makes her a more complex character, too.
Totally. But, despite all the baggage, all the complications, Beth and Gabriel can't help but be drawn back to each other. And their interactions with Leo, Gabriel's son, and this puppy they name Hero bring them closer. There's laughter, these moments of genuine connection. And then there's this scene where Leo is sad about his mother, and it triggers Beth's own grief over losing her son, Bobby. Gabriel is so sensitive to her pain in that moment. It's really touching.
So they're finding common ground, even in their shared pain.
Exactly. It's like they're bonding on a whole new level.
It's kind of beautiful, but also dangerous.
Oh, it's definitely dangerous.
Yeah.
Because that rekindled connection leads to, well, a secret meeting? And let's just say things get intimate.
I knew it.
It was inevitable, wasn't it? But it's also so risky. I mean, Frank is right there. And the potential consequences are huge, not just for Beth and Gabriel, but for everyone.
The stakes just got higher.
Way higher. And Frank starts to notice things. Beth's interactions with Gabriel. He doesn't say much, but there's this quiet concern that's almost more unsettling than anger.
Yeah, like he knows something is off, but doesn't want to confront it.
Exactly. And Beth is torn. She's excited to see Gabriel, but the guilt she feels towards Frank just keeps eating away at her. It's this constant battle within her.
It's a classic love triangle situation, isn't it? But with so much more depth.
Totally. And then we have this dinner party at Meadowlands, and oh my gosh, the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Gabriel's mother, Tessa, is there, and she is just something else.
What's she like?
She's so subtly cutting towards Beth, like she's trying to put her in her place. And it's clear that she sees Gabriel as, well, a bit self-centered, let's say.
So not exactly Team Beth, then.
Not even close. And you
Yeah.
can feel these unspoken judgments, these class differences between them. It's so uncomfortable.
Oh, that awkward dinner party vibe. Everyone's experienced that at some point.
I know, right? But this is next-level awkwardness. And all through this, Beth keeps having these memories of Bobby, her son, who died. She's still carrying so much grief, and she pours it all into her work on the farm.
That sounds like a way to cope, almost.
It is. But then Tessa makes these really insensitive comments about how she coped when Gabriel left for university. It's like she just doesn't get it, like she hasn't experienced that kind of deep, soul-crushing loss.
It highlights how differently people process grief.
Totally. Okay, so then Beth goes to visit Gabriel in Oxford.
Bold move.
It is. And the reunion is passionate at first, but then all these old insecurities and jealousies come back. Beth feels so out of place among Gabriel's university friends.
It's that fish out of water feeling, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like a reminder of how different their worlds are now. And she starts to wonder if they can ever really bridge that gap.
Makes you wonder if they're just fooling themselves, trying to recapture the past.
Right. But then, back on the farm, Frank plans this birthday trip for Beth. And it's so sweet, so thoughtful. It shows how much he loves her and how deep their connection is, despite everything that's going on.
Oh, that's kind of heartbreaking, given what we know.
It is. And it's during this trip that Beth finds a diary entry. It hints at a possible relationship between Gabriel and Louisa, this woman from his Oxford circle.
Uh-oh.
I know, right? It's like a punch to the gut. Beth feels so betrayed, and she ends things with Gabriel right then and there. She decides to stay with Frank.
Tough decision.
It is. But she realizes she can't keep living a lie.
And then things take another turn, right?
Oh, yeah. Beth's baby comes early.
Oh, wow.
I know. And get this. It's Jimmy, Frank's brother, who ends up helping with the delivery.
Really? That's unexpected.
It is. But it shows how much he cares about Beth, too. And the moment Beth sees her newborn son, well, it's pure love. It's like this ray of hope in the midst of all the chaos.
New life, new beginnings.
Exactly. Then we have Jimmy and Nina's wedding. It's a big celebration for the whole community, but Beth is still struggling with everything that's happened.
The party goes on, but her world feels like it's falling apart.
Pretty much.
Hmm.
And Jimmy and Gabriel have this tense encounter at the pub. Just a reminder that things are far from resolved between them.
Still some bad blood there.
Definitely. But then we see these beautiful moments between Frank and his son, Bobby. Bath time, Frank's father, David, doting on his grandson. It's so heartwarming, but also so bittersweet because, well, we know what happens later.
It emphasizes how much they lost.
Totally. Then there's this incident at a school picnic at the farm. A kid called William is involved in an accident with an air rifle. It seems minor at the time, but there's this parent, Allison Jacobs, who witnesses it all. And trust me, she'll become important later.
It's foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And here's a real gut punch. The society wedding everyone's talking about turns out to be Gabriel's wedding to Louisa, and it's happening on Bobby's birthday.
Ouch. Talk about a painful reminder.
It is. It's like this symbol of how different their lives have become. While Gabriel is having this grand celebration, Beth and Frank are having a quiet family picnic, just trying to get through the day.
A stark contrast.
For sure. But Beth and Gabriel still end up meeting at Meadowlands. They talk about Leo, and Beth's memories of Bobby come flitting back. It's clear they still have this connection, this shared understanding that just won't go away.
It's like they're drawn to each other even when they try to stay apart.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then Beth's parents decide to move to Ireland. It's a big change for the whole family. Meanwhile, Jimmy and Nina's romance is still going strong, which is, a little bit of sunshine amidst all the darkness.
Well, a bit of hope. Yeah.
Exactly. And during Jimmy's stag night, Frank has this really emotional conversation with Beth. We learn how deeply Bobby's death affected Jimmy, how it made him feel inadequate.
So the tragedy has had a ripple effect on everyone in different ways.
Absolutely. And then there's this children's picnic at the farm in memory of Bobby. William, the kid from the air rifle incident, is there, which, makes you wonder if that incident's going to come back to haunt them.
I was just thinking that.
Right. So the trial starts, and Allison Jacobs, remember her? She gives this really damaging testimony. She exaggerates everything, makes it sound like an accident at Blakely Farm was inevitable.
Oh, she's out to get them.
Pretty much. And at Jimmy and Nina's wedding reception, even though everyone's celebrating, you can see Frank is still so sad. And Beth and Gabriel have this brief, tense conversation. He denies having an affair with Louisa when they were younger, which we know isn't true.
It's like he's trying to rewrite history.
Exactly. But then the truth comes out. We find out about the accident, how Bobby died. It was the old oak tree on the farm. Beth's reaction is just gut-wrenching. You can feel the depth of her pain.
That must be the climax of the story, right?
It is. It's the moment everything changes.
Okay.
And then we jump forward to another trial. Gabriel is a witness and Frank is the defendant. Beth is convinced that Frank is innocent, that the wrong man is on trial.
Oh, wow. So now it's not just about Bobby's death, but potentially another one.
Exactly. And during his testimony, Gabriel admits that he lied before, especially about how angry Frank was about the affair. It makes you question everything he says,
Yeah, his credibility is shot.
Totally. And the defense lawyers really go after him, highlighting all his inconsistencies, trying to create doubt in the jury's minds about Frank's guilt.
Smart strategy.
For sure. And then we meet Beth's sister, Eleanor, who's a solicitor. She helps Beth and Frank prepare for the trial, and you can tell this is serious business.
Adding to the tension.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Gabriel's barrister is really trying to paint Jimmy, Frank's brother, as volatile. Like he's the one who might have done something.
Trying to shift the blame, basically.
Exactly. But before the trial really kicks off, Beth and Gabriel have this secret meeting. They talk about Leo's nightmares and the guilt they both feel about everything. Beth admits she loves both Gabriel and Frank, but she's choosing Frank.
Wow, that's heavy.
It is. And then Eleanor visits Frank in prison, and she doesn't sugarcoat things. She tells it like it is. Frank is not doing well.
The pressure is getting to him.
Totally. And then, when Frank gives his testimony, he breaks down. He takes full responsibility for Bobby's death. He even says he wants Beth to be happy, even if it's with Gabriel. It's so selfless, so heartbreaking.
He's putting her needs before his own, even when he's facing prison.
It's incredible. And then Nina, Jimmy's wife, takes the stand. She's amazing. She defends Frank, saying he would never hurt Jimmy. It's so powerful.
She's standing by her man.
Absolutely. And later, Beth and Frank have this phone call. It's clear they still love each other. They're supporting each other through all of this.
So their bond is still strong, despite everything.
It is. And then the verdict comes. Frank is found not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter.
So a mixed bag.
Yeah. It's relief, but also sadness. It's complicated. Gabriel takes Leo home, and Beth goes with them to make sure Jimmy gets back safely.
Even after everything, they're still connected.
It's true. But then Frank, out of nowhere, accuses Beth and Gabriel of being involved in Bobby's death. It's like all his grief, all his pain is coming out in this really messed up way.
He's lashing out.
Exactly. And then we get this flashback to Beth realizing she's pregnant after ending things with Gabriel. She doesn't know if she should tell him. It's a huge decision, you know.
It's like a secret that could change everything.
Totally. And Sister Ignatius, she's so kind to Beth. She helps her leave school without any fuss. It's this moment of grace amidst all the drama.
A little bit of light in the darkness.
Exactly. And then we see this earlier encounter between Beth and Frank before they were together. He's so kind to her, and they both see these abandoned baby birds. It's like this symbol of new beginnings, you know?
Yeah, that's sweet.
It is. And then Beth and Frank's daughter, Grace, is born after Frank gets out of prison. It's like this beautiful symbol of hope, of starting over.
A new chapter.
Totally. Gabriel and Leo still visit Frank in prison, so there's still a connection there, but it's different now.
Maybe more peaceful.
Maybe. And Beth reflects on everything. Her love for Gabriel, her love for Frank, and her daughter, Grace. She's made peace with her choices.
Sounds like she's found some closure.
I think so. And the novel ends with Frank coming home. He's reunited with Grace, and they're all together on the farm. It's a fragile kind of happiness, but it's there.
A hopeful ending, considering everything they've been through.
Definitely. So that was Broken Country. Wow.
That was a lot.
It was. So what did you think? What moments stood out to you? Let us know in the comments below. We always love hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, and what about the themes? The past, betrayal, love, forgiveness. It's all pretty universal, isn't it?
Absolutely. If this deep dive got you thinking, please share it with your friends. Maybe they'll want to read the book too.
I know I do.
Me too. And here's a final question to ponder. Can you ever truly rebuild after such loss and betrayal? And can the past ever really let go of you? Something to think about. Until next time, take care.
Bye, everyone.